2, 1.
International campus. We're so excited to bring this program to the Rainbow Bush Outdoor. Text the word decriminalization to 41414 and join the fastest growing civil rights army in the world. Let's put our hands together for Representative Lewis Jackson. Yeah! I want to see now the sound of freedom. But the one that always have to hands everybody clap for hands. We believe in the day to start for
You've got to believe it. Come on, can I get you to clap your hands all over the building? Yes, you even at home, clap your hands. And as you sing this song with us, declare it over your life, every situation you got going on, that it will be the best days of your life. Right here. So today will be the best days, the best day of my life. Come on, that's it. Sing it with us. Put your hands together, everybody. The best day of my life. Today will be the best day of my life.
Today will be the best day.
Song says this: I'll get my joy back today. Come on, clap your hands. I'll get my heart back, yeah. I'll get my life back, yeah. For today will be
the best day.
Yeah.
The best day of my life.
Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Come on. If you believe it, clap your hands. Yeah. Let's take it back to the top. Come on, everybody. You can sing with us now. Say, today will be the best day of my life.
Today will
Come on, that's it, everybody.
The best day. The best day of my life.
Today will be the best day of my life. Yeah.
Will be
Come on, clap your hands.
the best day. The best day
I'll
of
get
my life.
my joy back
Today.
Hey. And I'll get my heart back. Yeah.
Today.
I'll get my life back. Yeah.
Today.
For today will be.
The best.
Today will be, yeah. Today will be, yeah.
The best day.
The best day.
The best day of my
Well, if you
life.
believe it, clap me your hands. Oh, yeah. This is my favorite part of the song because I believe life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I need you to repeat after me right here. Say, I believe that today will be.
The best day of my
I
life.
believe that today will be.
The best day of my
I
life.
believe that today will be.
The best day of my
I
life.
believe that today, the best day of my life.
The best
Come
day
on.
of my life.
It'll be the best day.
The best day of my
I
life.
decree and declare it
The best day of my
over
life.
every situation in my life.
Best day of my life.
I know it will.
The best day of my
As long as
life.
I hold on to God's
The
unchanging
best
hand.
day of my
As long as
life.
I hold on to His promise.
The best day of my
As
life.
long as I hold
The
on,
best day of my
it
life.
will be.
The best day of my life.
Come on, clap your hands, everybody, if you believe it. Well, if you believe this is the best day of your life, give yourselves a round of applause. This is the best day I want to commend the work of our national staff. We are approaching our 57th International Annual Convention right here in Chicago. Put your hands together for its convention time. And we're focusing on so many key issues. You can go to www.rainbowpush.org and get more information about our convention. There is a plethora of events and sessions and panels and guests, and it's growing incrementally every day, literally every day. We're adding more content to this convention because the work, leadership, and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson spans the globe. And as we put forth this platform, we want you to be engaged, involved, and interactive with all that we're doing. That Saturday is Reunion Saturday, July 15th through the 19th. July 15th is Reunion Saturday, where we'll be remembering and recognizing, reflecting on the 35th anniversary of Reverend Jackson's inaugural quest towards democracy as a candidate for president. And amazing people like Donna Brazile and Judge Greg Mathis and Mignon Moore and so many others are coming from around the country to help us kick off that Saturday. And we're going to have elected officials, we're going to have policymakers. It is going to be a phenomenal day. It starts with a breakfast and a lunch, and you are invited to be a part of it. This convention only costs $35 for registration, and you can go right now to www.rainbowpush.org and you can register right now for that convention, and it gets you into all of the events that are happening. On Saturday, we have our reunion. On Sunday is the Dr. Clay Evans Gospel Concert, and we'll be honoring the work of Archbishop Lucius Hall and Dr. Charles G. Hayes and the Cosmopolitan Church Choir. The music legacy, the leadership legacy of these two together is really what the Dr. Clay Evans Gospel Concert at the Apostolic Church of God. That concert is absolutely free. And all you've got to do is show up, and it's going to be a great time. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're at the Rubenstein Forum on the campus of the University of Chicago, and we have congresswomen, we have congresspeople and congressmen coming from around the country to participate. Our international sessions on Monday, our urban development luncheon on Monday, and then Tuesday is labor, faith, and business. And you can go and get that schedule, and you can coordinate your schedule. You can scan that QR code, put it on your tablet, your desktop, or your phone, and you can follow the schedule of the convention each and every day. And we close out Wednesday in a major way with our International Women's Luncheon. Now, all meal events are $150 a ticket, $1,500 a table, but guess what? It's affordable for any budget and for anyone, anywhere. If you're traveling in, we have special hotel accommodations we provided just for our members and our guests. And so we're excited. Would you help me again celebrate the work of Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson? Would you do that for me? Clap your hands for him, if you will. You know, as we do this work around the country and many places around the world, as you see the crisis in Ukraine and in Russia, here at home, the fight continues. And this is a fight that we're in each and every day in one way or another. Imagine, if you will, a police department in Villa Rica, Georgia, using the images of black men in police training target practice. I'm gonna try it on you one more time. Imagine, if you will, at the shooting gallery for practicing police officers, they use the imagery of black men in shooting practice. Makes it easier for you to shoot them in real time when you're using images of black men. And if it weren't for someone who leaked it, the community wouldn't have known about it. And so we're calling for a full-scale investigation because we want to know, how deep does this go? We want to know, how deeply involved are you with these images and these attempts to demonize people collectively, collaborative, systematically, in a way that it happens in real time. Our challenge today is in the area of dealing with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we keep telling you week after week that this attempt to steal, to subterfuge, to sabotage, if you will, to subvert, if you will, democracy in every way. They want CRT, critical race theory, banning books, moving polling places. This is a systematic approach every day. Now, you took Monday off. They didn't take Monday off. You were celebrating Juneteenth. They weren't celebrating Juneteenth. They was coming up with another scheme, another scam. And just across the border in Wisconsin, in 13 universities, they've eliminated $32 million in funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The very things that we've been fighting for. You can drive right up the highway and get off at any point in the state of Wisconsin and get off at a university. 13 universities, they cut $32 million. And they made it known on the House floor. They made it known in the state capitol. The reason why we're cutting the funding is we don't like the impact that diversity, equity, and inclusion is having on our state. We don't like the impact it's having on our communities. You are making progress, and the only way we can stop the progress is stop the funding. Sounds like a familiar theme, right? Whenever we have a program, an initiative, we have a strategy, we have a forthright principle, all you got to do is cut the money. And you cut the life force. When you look at mental health centers being closed, you cut the money. Schools being closed, cut the money. Factories closing down, cut the money. You can't get funding or loans, cut the money. And so the new attack is not just to take your vote, but take the economic life force that helps drive business, economy, entrepreneurs, and progress. Cut the money. And so the only way that we can, as Reverend Jackson said, either cut us in or we're going to cut it out. Now, one of the things that we are seriously considering, I want somebody to say seriously considering. One of the things that we're seriously considering, because we don't, and I like we were in a meeting with Reverend Jackson this week, and Reverend Jackson, we don't have to beg anybody to help us sell food to ourselves. Amen. We don't have to beg anybody to help us build our own communities. We don't have to beg anybody to start our own banks. He said we're adult enough and grown enough, have suffered enough and sacrificed enough that we could do for ourselves. Am I in Dr. King's workshop? That we could do for ourselves. So we are seriously considering using one of our most formidable tools in some of these areas called boycotts. You want to cut our money? Well, a knife, whether you know it or not, cuts both ways. It depends on who's holding the handle. I'm going to try it on you one more time. The knife cuts both ways, depending on who's holding the handle. Ask somebody, are you holding the handle? And we ought to be able to hold the handle when it comes to our demand. It's not a request. It's not a debate. It's not a discussion. You either cut us in or we'll cut it out. And we got major corporations that need to feel the brunt of our pain and our anguish and our struggle by us. As they cut our budget, we can cut their budget. When it comes to advertising, we can cut their budget. As it comes to access to our market, we can cut their budget, and it's amazing how when you cut their budget, they really have a different attitude about discussing, deliberating, and finding what they call a win-win. Y'all ain't talking back to me. They talk, let's find a resolution. Soon as we say we're gonna cut you off, we're gonna stop buying your beverage, we're gonna stop wearing your clothes,
We're going to stop supporting your business, because what we're trying to teach you here at Rainbow Push is that we are the profit of margin for success in every sector in the American economy. You make the difference in automotive division. You make the difference in banking. You make the difference in retail. You make the difference in manufacturing. So when you see them say little clever cliches and little clever slogans, they're really trying to keep you in the profit margin. Because if you get upset and stop buying a hamburger, somebody can't sell a cow. I'm trying to help. I'm trying. If you get upset and stop buying a steak, somebody can't sell a cow. Y'all not talking back to me. If you get upset and stop buying a car, somebody can't sell tires. Y'all talk back to me. If you get upset and stop buying their clothes, somebody cannot ship the clothes. So the shipper of the clothes want to know, why did you upset them people? I need them to come to my store with the red circle. I need them to come to the store with the blue and yellow logo and be my profit margin. That's why when you walk in the store, they greet you. They so nice to you when you come. Till they find out you ain't spending no money, they want to suspect you of taking something. But we're tired of people playing with us. We're tired of people manipulating us. And so this year's convention is going to focus on economic development and economic liberation, and collaborating with various organizations around the country. They're going to go into key markets. Reverend Jackson's talking about a social justice moral audit. When you look at, for example, the NFL has 32 markets. You all watch the NBA this week do a draft, giving millions of dollars to players. But that's not where all the money is. Imagine, if you will, if you knew the economic functionality of being an arena owner, being able to sell naming rights to an arena. This whole idea of where the Bears stay, the Bears go, the Bears invest, the Bears divest in Chicago. This whole idea, these are billions of dollars that are being, and Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor's with us this morning. Give a round of applause for her. She's with us this morning. She can talk to you about the economic dynamics of being an arena owner, being a team owner. Who owns the concessions? We had a brother here 3 weeks ago, has a contract, was part of our Push International Trade Bureau, has a contract with the Cubs to just do the lettering on the jerseys. Just the lettering. You wearing the hat, you don't even own the hat. You don't even own the rights to the lettering on the hat. This brother, and he and Craig Hodges have found 5 cities where they're going to put manufacturing to do tailoring and customized uniforms all over America, putting black and brown young people to work with a skill, with a talent, and a means by which they can become citizens and economic drivers in their community. We have a beautiful sister here with us today that has an amazing landscaping, plowing, snow plowing, do all kind of stuff. And we're fighting every day for this cause of not just being free, but being equal. Imagine, if you will, this brother, we're celebrating this brother this week. His name is Sam Jones, 75 years old. 75 years old. At the age of 11, they denied him an Eagle Scout Medal of Honor at 11 years old, simply because he saw himself as an equal to his white counterparts. And here he is, 75 years old, a military veteran, just now receiving an Eagle Scout Medal of Honor. Well, some progress is better than no progress. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And we ought to give it up for Sam Jones. Clap your hands for Sam Jones. Clap your hands. This is the anniversary of Shelby versus Holder, where the whole idea of the Voting Rights Act Blood, sweat, and tears, Africa, fighting for just equity in the polling place. Allow us to go in the polling place and participate in this experiment called democracy, and we can choose for ourselves who we want to represent us. And in 24 hours of passing Shelby versus Holder, they began moving thousands of polling places. Moving and closing polling places. And so when you hear Reverend Jackson talk about expanding voting rights, when you hear Reverend Jackson and others and myself and Reverend Jeanette Wilson talk about ensuring democracy at the polling place, that's what this is all about, because the great steal is not the steal they're talking about. The great steal is the steal of realizing you don't start stealing at the bank, you start stealing outside the bank. And this whole idea of marginalizing and demoralizing, demonizing people at the polling place is a part of our fight going into 2024, because they know, I told you earlier, they know that you are not just the profit margin, you're the margin of democracy in this country. Every major move in this country, you have been the margin of victory in these key areas. So we can suppress your vote or oppress you as a voter, because what you're beginning to find out is a no vote is a vote. They are passing these laws on the smallest of margins. And when you look at where our power base is not in registering new voters, talk back to me, is turning out the ones who are already registered. Can you imagine walking in a building and the building's on fire, and James, you got a water hose, building on fire? Talk back to me, Jeanette, they scared. You got a water hose, building on fire, you got a water hose, you got a bucket of water, you got a fire extinguisher, and the house still burned down because you didn't use what you already had. Can you imagine being, maybe you'll catch this, can you imagine being broke and you got money in your pocket? You got money on your card. You got money under your mattress, and they come and repossess your house and you had the money for it all the way. And your only excuse that you had, Kathy, is I didn't use what I had. Y'all feel bad about it? I didn't use. Tell somebody we got to use what we got. You know, if you're a young person, you got to use what we got. If you're a senior, you got to use what we got. If you're unemployed and you got the right to vote, you still got to use what you got. If you're uninsured and you got the right to vote, you got to use what you got. If you're a returning citizen and you get your record expunged, you got to use what you got. It's what we do every week. Try to empower, educate, equip you in using what you got. And this fight goes on each and every day. Recently, we've had, and when we talk about Shelby versus Holder, we told you last week, the same states that fight everything, they're called border states. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas, the same states historically. Same states, the border states, consistently and constructively fight every progressive move we have. So what did they decide to do? Same as they use boats, they're using buses to destabilize communities, destabilize the economy, destabilize culture. And they're sending hundreds and thousands of brown people on buses and some on planes to destabilize communities. And their point in destabilization is to create a discord between the haves and the have-nots. And that destabilization causes us to feel a certain type of way, like it might be our fault or their fault, while the puppet masters are working against all of us. I thought I was in Dr. King's workshop. I think I might be in a mausoleum or something, because y'all must be Juneteenth tired or something. The challenge before us right now is, how do we not pick either or, but how do we diversify and be concerned about both and? And so I'm glad we have a powerful black sister in the city council here in the city of Chicago that spares no expense in raising her voice and lifting her voice and raising her hand and making sure that she represents the community that has elected her over and over again to represent them. And she asked a powerful question on the spot, concerned about her constituency and her families. And she's here today. I want us to put our hands together for Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor.
So good morning, how y'all doing? Definitely honored to be in the house that Reverend Jackson built. It's a feeling every time you go here. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm not a really religious person, but I'm spiritual. And I feel it every time I come in this building. And so I'm just grateful to be here this morning. Being pro-black doesn't make you anti-anything. And so me speaking up for my community doesn't mean I hate anybody else. That means, what about us? And so I was conflicted with taking the vote around the $51 million, because I know we got homeless people in our own community. We got a housing crisis right here in our own city. We got young people who are underemployed. We got young people who are not in schools. And so $51 million is a lot of money. It's a drop in the bucket, because maybe y'all don't know that we spend $80,000 just on flowers that go down Michigan Avenue, and we throw them away when we're done. And so thinking about how we spend our money, we cannot continue to take care of other people and not take care of ourselves. And so I hear people, and I heard my community very well, which was why I was conflicted about taking this vote. And this $51 million, y'all, was really to help us pay our bills, pay these organizations, pay for food. What happened in the last administration was we were not privy to a lot of this information. And so just like you all are being informed, so am I. See, you look, I was not told anything. I was originally told that this building was going to be used. They were doing some upgrades. But they spent $1.6 million to reform an elementary school that we kick young people out of. I'm going to let that sit with y'all for a minute. So it ain't good enough for our kids, but it's good enough to house folks that are seeking asylum. And that's problematic, because it ain't one versus the other. It's and both. And I want y'all to know we could afford it as a city. What needs to happen amongst us as black folks is we need to have a state of black Chicago, a state of black Illinois, because we have not had the conversation about what we really need in these communities. We have not. We all over the place because we always fighting. And we fighting for crumbs, y'all. They got it. Don't let them tell y'all we ain't got it. We ain't broke. This is one of the richest cities in the world. Don't you sleep on it. But it's sad we got people who sleep at the bus shelters. We got young people who are homeless. And so we got some work to do as the community. And so how I got to be the vice chair, I don't know, of immigration. Because what we're not having a conversation about is our Haitian and African brothers and sisters who are stuck at the border. They're not even making it on the bus, y'all. And so we got some real work to do with this administration, and that's federally. And so what we got to understand, and I didn't understand it at first, about voting. I voted since I was 18, but I've also written Harold Washington in the space when it was time to vote. So last election, I might as well not vote, but I did write Harold Washington because we had a better chance of him being mayor than the previous administration. And I said what I said. You can see what happens. You see our city is where it is. It's funny, I see y'all sitting here, and so the thought that we firing black principals for no reason whatsoever other than they black is problematic. But see, y'all, they only gonna do what we let them do. We're a $1 trillion spending industry. Stop buying their pops. Stop buying their chips. Stop buying their juice. Absolutely. And we got to do that for each other. But the thing is, we know. I don't know if y'all remember a couple of years ago on Netflix, they had a rapper called Big Mike. And what he wanted to do for 30 days was any money that he spent, he wanted to spend black. The problem was he couldn't find a black hotel. He couldn't find a building, a store that just sold black things or was black owned. Because we don't own none of the institutions in our community. And y'all stop this with that, we tearing up our community. We don't own it anymore. They've taken it from us, and so how do we take it back? We have to organize, y'all. We got to. We're not on the same page. One of the things, when that $51 million vote came through, was I realized that we are not organized, and that's on us, y'all. If we waiting on them to organize us, good luck. They ain't gonna organize. They gonna organize us to mistreat each other and to talk down to each other and not support each other. That's what they gonna do. And to your point, you're absolutely right. On Juneteenth, while we were celebrating, they was figuring out how to hurt us again. So anybody heard about those 20 children missing in Cleveland? 20 black children missing in Cleveland. Had they been white, this wouldn't even be a conversation. It'd be all type of Amber Alerts, dogs, you name it. They'll spend millions of dollars. But we still got a postal worker, a pregnant postal worker missing in the city of Chicago, and they've used very little resources to do it. And so how do we start to organize around the things that we want and what we want to see? And that's not gonna be easy for us, y'all, because they've taught us to be each other's enemy. Think about it on social media. They beating up on black women. You don't need black women. Yes, you do. Reverend, did you make it without your wife? I know you didn't, because I see it every time. I know you didn't. And so in order for him to be that strong black man, he had to have a sister. We got to get to the place where City Hall belongs to us. We're the people that vote. Just imagine if they took our base of votes. It wouldn't be an election. And y'all stop mistreating our seniors. You got seniors up in senior buildings who talk down. Now, they paid the way for us. If it wasn't for our elders, we wouldn't be in this space. Thank you, Reverend Jackson. Thank you for taking on that cause. Because while he was teaching us why we are somebody, he was also teaching us how to deal with this system of oppression. And it's been going on for 400 years. It ain't going to stop tomorrow, y'all. And so don't expect the black man that's in office to change things overnight, because that's not how this works. And I want y'all to know they are putting their numbers together to organize against that man. He ain't been in office 21 days and everything is his fault. Really? What y'all do about the last administration? I'ma wait. We got billion-dollar corporations like Norfolk Southern who take over our community and don't give us a dime. We got to watch how we deal with these people. And so how do we start? We start by having them hard conversations. And to my elders in the room, I need y'all to wrap your arms around these young people. They ain't downtown acting a fool for nothing. They down there because ain't nothing to do in their communities. The 20th Ward ain't got a skating ring, a Chuck E. Cheese, a bowling alley, or a theater. And that ain't just the 20th Ward, that's on the south and west sides, and that's intentional. It is the anniversary of the school closings. They knew that schools were the last stable foundation other than churches in our community. And what they do, throw a bomb in them. You close the schools, then you corrupt some of our pastors. I'm going to say it because it need to be said. Some of them supposed to be saving souls, they selling out souls. Not this one here. That's why I'm here. I make it my business to come to this house every time I get an opportunity. And so, y'all, that $51 million, it is a drop in the bucket, but what do we want? What does Chicago want? What does black Chicago, let me make it plain. What does black Chicago want? I want $250 million in investments for grocery stores because I'm tired of big box. I'm tired of them coming to our communities and leaving. I want us to wrap our hands around each other. Thank you, Reverend Jackson. Because for years, you said it was going to happen. They ain't listen. And so now we got to fight 10 times harder. I appreciate all the love and the help you all have given me. It ain't been an easy journey. It has not. But listen, it's my faith, And it's people like y'all that keep me here. Thank y'all.
One more time for Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor. Come on, Chicago, that's a real freedom fighter. You know, she talked about this systematic approach to removing black male principles. And this is a real deal for us as we're fighting for equity, inclusion, and diversity in our educational systems. I want Brother Gerald Morrow and Principal Abdul Muhammad to come. They're going to share with you. We're in the fight to save these schools. Put your hands together as they come.
Good morning. How y'all doing? I want to definitely thank Reverend Jackson for allowing us to be here today. As a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was just with the minister on Monday of this week, and he talked to me about how much he loves Reverend Jackson and all of the brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam. Y'all already know we love black people. We love Reverend Jackson. We love Operation Push. We love the work that's being done in our community. So I can't say anything without first saying that. So I definitely thank Reverend Jackson for his years of sacrifice, his years of work, his years of dedication to the liberation of our people, as well as the members of Operation Push. My name is Abdul Muhammad, and I'm the former principal of Lynn Bloom Math and Science Academy. I've been an educator in Chicago for the last 25 years, and I've been blessed to have a tremendous impact on the lives of young black children in the city of Chicago. Some of them are here today. But very briefly, what happened recently is I was elected or selected to be the principal of Lynn Bloom Math and Science Academy. And the day that Brother Bishop Grant said that as soon as Shelby versus Holder was passed, he said hours after it was passed, they were moving polling places and closing them down. The same thing happened when I was selected the principal. They didn't even wait hours. It was minutes after the selection that CPS started to plan my removal from Lynn Bloom Math and Science Academy. So the importance of education and democracy is that if we don't have a proper education, we'll never have a democracy. Because as long as the people are uneducated and miseducated, then they can be deceived, as our community has been deceived, and democracy becomes a trick and a catchphrase that is used, but those people, as you talked about, who are in power, and as you talked about, they deceive the people into voting for people who don't have our best interests at heart. So the importance of brothers like myself and Brother Gerald is that, as I wrap this up, is that we're in the schools every single day, working with the very children that you see downtown, that you say, can't nobody do nothing with them. That is a lie. I've been in CPS 25 years. I started at Westinghouse before it was the college prep school, when it was just a neighborhood school. At Westinghouse on the west side. Those students love me to this day. From Westinghouse, I moved to CBS. I was there for 6 years. They say that CBS stands for crime, violence, and sex. I was one of the only teachers in the building that could go in the hallway and break up the fights among the students. And we talk about economic liberation, but there can be no economic liberation if there's no economic education. It's not gonna happen. But we were in the schools, I have a student here, educating them about economics at CBS. The students told me, Mr. Muhammad, the only reason I come to school is to come to your class. I'm sure they said the same thing to my brother here. From CBS, I went to Simeon. And at Simeon, Jabari Parker was one of my students. Kendrick Nunn, one of my former students. Steve Taylor, the #1 basketball player in the state. These were my former students. But my priority for them was not basketball or sports. The priority was always education, and they respected that. From Simeon, I went to Percy L. Julian as the assistant principal. When I got to Percy L. Julian on the last day of school, they were fighting in the middle of the street. Parents coming up, popping trunks, pulling baseball bats out. When I left Percy L. Julian, we completely turned the school around. And students were getting their book bags and going home on the last day of school. So this is the transformative work that we have done in Chicago public schools that we're punished for. When I left Percy L. Julian, I went to Nancy B. Jefferson, the school. Nancy B. Jefferson was a great freedom fighter for black people on the west side of Chicago. The school is located inside the Juvenile Detention Center. They call it the Oddie Homes. All the ones that we talk about, that we turn on the news, they shot this block, they shot that block, they shot up this location. All of them who are under 18 go to Nancy B. Jefferson, and they had to come see me every day. And when I was there as the assistant principal, this was the first time that they could put all the brothers in the same room together, the GDs, the BDs, the Vice Lords, the Four Corner Hustlers, the Latin Kings, the EBK, the first time they could put them all together and it not be a brawl. Because I work with those brothers the same way I work with the students in all the schools I've ever gone to. From Nancy B. Jefferson, I went to Douglas High School on the west side, which was a school that CPS did not care about. It was neglected. It was falling apart, right in Austin, right down the street from Danny Davis' house. Austin has the highest murder rate in the city of Chicago. It's not Inglewood, it's Austin, on the west side, and it's been that way for the last 10 years. In Austin, at Douglas, I transformed the school and reduced all the fights and brought the graduation rate up to the district average of 82%. These are the works that Brother Gerald and I have done for years, for decades. And for these reasons, CPS has punished us, and this is exactly what happened at Lindblom Math and Science Academy. So I want to ask you all, as I wrap everything up, we have a website, justiceforabdulmuhammad.com. We have 3 things that we're asking everybody to do. Sign the petition is 1. Make a donation is 2. And the third thing is, right on the website, you can email the members of the Board of Education. You click on their name, the email auto-populates, and you just click send, and it goes straight to the Board of Education. The website is justiceforabdulmuhammad.com, and I want to thank you all for having us here this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Reverend Jackson, the other distinguished members who are here and present. My name is Gerald Morrow, and I've been an educator in Chicago Public Schools for over 30 years. I was former principal at Paul Robeson High School, which is now transitioned to Inglewood STEM, and I was formerly the proud principal of Dunbar Vocational Career Academy. And there have been a lot of things that have transpired. But my message is about the due process that has not been given to black men, but I want to raise your awareness of what has not been given education to our black boys. These black boys in the community that you see, those are the ones who could not read in 3rd grade. They could not read in 6th grade. They could not read in 8th grade, and they were transitioned to an under-resourced school. So we have divested in them for the last 15 years since 3rd grade. This is why you're seeing what you're seeing in our community. And how did it happen? It was not an oops. Those of us who have led challenging environments, there has not been one initiative that we have not said, this is not going to serve our school, our community, or these children at large. It is not going to help them. They did it anyway. In my tenure at Dunbar High School, and I want to be very clear about, and I want to echo Jeanette's message about the issue has happened because we are not organized. Dunbar High School, Simeon High School, CVS High School, you used to be able to graduate a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber. You used to be able to do that. There was legislation put forth by our unions that changed that. They took those opportunities away from our children. The service industry was the backbone of the African-American community, not the professionals. It was the service community. And you start taking those opportunities away from our black boys. Dunbar served children, Simeon served children, CVS, Craigill on the west side, they all served children and put skills and certificates in black boys' hands to go work, where they would not sell drugs, they would not put a gun in their waist. Where did that legislation change? It needs to be reversed. If we're going to empower our young black boys again, they have to graduate with a skill. You cannot tell them, go over to the Union Hall and they're already 2 years behind in math. They'll never pass the assessment. And it was done by design. I have fought this continuously in my days at Dunbar. It's not about that we brought the aviation program back, Jeanette, where a young black boy was able to go fly. They'll never talk about that. They'll never talk about the music studio, all the greats that have come out of Dunbar. Lou Rawls, Jennifer Hudson. We put a music studio back in there and named it after the person who had taught music for years, Sherry Nichols Sweat. We put it back in there. And I want you guys to be very clear. We partnered with Larry Barber College. It was nothing but a stalemate the entire time. They wanted everybody to go to college. I said, college and or trade, your choice, you choose. Who said you can't be a barber and go to Chicago State and make your own money? Those are the things that I put in place and Brother Muhammad was doing that they did not like. Those were the reasons that they looked at us as adversarial, because I did not ask for permission. I don't need permission to do what God told me to do for our children. And I did it and I'll do it again. The enrollment increase. And I want you all to know all those things that were put in place at Dunbar, I did not ask the district for a dime. And they did not give me a dime. I went out, we marketed the school, we branded the school so people would start to send their children back to Dunbar. Dunbar, Jeanette, had dropped all the way to 230 children. We were close to 500 again because we put those programs in place. I totally echo what Jeanette is saying. The challenge is the organization. And I ask this question to every black leader. What is the educational agenda in the African American community? Until we elevate that question and answer that question, our children will continue to suffer. To God be the glory for the things he has done.
Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Troy LaRaviere. I'm the president of the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association. I want to say a couple words about the two gentlemen you just met because they're pretty modest. Gerald, I was a student at Dunbar, and I graduated in 1987. There are almost 3,000 students there. When Gerald took it over, it had gotten down to, as he said, under 300, 200-some students. It was starting to meet the CPS pattern of under-enrolling schools just so they could close them, but Gerald turned that place around. And he took the enrollment back up, as he said, to almost 500, and it would be even up more today. And he did it by doing things that brought back the licensing programs. One thing he did not mention is he brought a program in that school that got students their pilot's license by the time they graduated. That's the kind of work he was doing, but that's not the kind of work that the politicians that run Chicago public schools wanted to see. They don't want to see success. Let me tell you something about Abdul Muhammad. When he was running the school for students in jail, he went to see Hamilton. Thought it was magnificent. And then he said, I want my students in the jail to see this. Well, they can't. They're not going to let them out to see it. So he contacted the producer of Hamilton. And he worked for 2 years. And he was gone. Now, he contacted her in his last few months at the school. But even after he left, he kept working for 2 years to get them to bring that play to that school, to those students. And he was successful in doing it while I think he was at Percy Julian when they finally were successful. And then he talked to the producer, and the producer told him something. I want you to hear this. She said, you know, Abdul, this play has only left the stage twice. Once was to perform for Barack and Michelle Obama at the White House. And the other time was to perform for the students at Nancy B. Jefferson, our young boys. These are the kind of men that you want. They always say, well, these kids need something. What are we going to do for these kids? This is what we do. And every time we get men like this to work and to build up our schools and to advocate for our children, they snatch them away. They want that scene from downtown so they can have another excuse to close more schools and get us out of this community, get us out of Chicago. That is what they want. So I'll say this. They're not the only ones. 6 black principals have been removed this year. And I'll end it at this. Not a single one of them knew what the charges were. Brittany Griner, y'all know Brittany Griner, the WNBA player. Brittany Griner got more due process from Russia than these black principals got from Chicago public schools. That's not hyperbole. Brittany Griner knew what she was charged with. Brittany Griner knew what she was charged with. Not a single one of these principals was given charges when they were removed. No dupe. It's like we living in some kind of totalitarian state in CPS. Brittany Griner had a trial schedule where she could confront the evidence against her. Not a single one of these men got to confront the evidence against them before they were removed. And so there's a system doing this to these men and these women. And we have to organize and confront that system. So I'll end it with that. I know my time is up, but I say, once again, go to justiceforabdulmuhammad.com, and there'll be 3 steps there for you to take. Justiceforabdulmuhammad.com. Go there and take those 3 steps. Thank you all very much.
No, Chicago, you can do better than that. Come on now. No, come on, take it to another level. I want you to go to www.rainbowpush.org. Did I do that right, Jason? Because we are going to fight for every one of these principles to be maintained and to be treated the way they is that the right thing to do? If you believe that's the right thing to do, put your hands together. Somebody say the fight is on. Say the fight is on. Raise your voice, say the fight is on. Put your hands together for these 2 strong black brothers. This convention is focusing on education equity, education inclusivity, and diversity. You hear the echo, you hear the theme, you hear the narrative of what this fight is all about. Due process, not asking to put a thumb on the scale, but Judge Bush, give them due process and then afford them the recognition of doing unusual, exceptional work that we want done in schools like these to impact the lives of our young people. You owe them another round of applause for their hard work, their suffering, and their sacrifice. Now, this work is not free. This work is not free. The staff will be passing out envelopes. This work is not free. We do this tirelessly. He is in the room, and he is present for duty. Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. Let's give it up for him today. Come on, Chicago. Take a moment and recognize with much respect, all due respect.
Hello. I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me. Protect me. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world. Stop the violence. Save the children. Just put your hands together. Brother Muhammad and Brother Gerald, appreciate you guys very much. We have a different attitude about schools now. Young men like yourselves are not disposable. If necessary, we're going to stand with you and fight with you. We must fight together. We win these battles if we try. We have a good mayor, strong young black man, clear on his thinking. And so I want to support Mayor Johnson as well. We're going to take on these schools. There are 42 schools in Chicago, less than 250 students. Manor High got 200 students. Closing this, we don't have men capable of fighting for our kids. We'll fight for them, so we're going to fight for them. Now, I saw this Juneteenth celebration on CNN. It was a damn shame. We deserve better than that. If you had a celebration of Jewish people, you celebrate the last day of the Holocaust, then put no context to it, would make sense. People in slavery were not on the street dancing, doing the voodoo wop. They had no place to go, number one. No transportation to get there. So they were from slave masters, segregation masters. When Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation, we were the third option. His first option, he said, well, I must save the Union. If I must save them, I'll do that too. Free them. He said, number one, first option is send them back to Africa. Can't do that, it's impractical. Second option is don't send them back to Africa. Let them wander around the streets of America. The third thing, he said, I'll free them if I have to. He said, stage one, send them back to Africa. Two, remain in slavery. Three, free if I had to. The third option. Now, you got the first point. Therefore, when the war was over, when the war was over, the fact that we lived in segregation, violent segregation, 5,000 black were lynched, 1940, were lynched, just before material, lynched, Mississippi, 1962 blacks were lynched, 1962. When we were going to Georgia for his polio in the wheelchair, 500 blacks were lynched in Georgia, 600 blacks were lynched in Georgia. He never gave a speech on anti-lynching. A friend of ours. I want y'all to hear this now. We give credit to the wrong people. That's why I relate to Farrakhan as I do, because he convinced people to get sober. He's free to change their minds. When we change our minds, things happen to us. So strong minds bring strong change. Strong minds bring strong change. So you don't drown. The water's deep. Don't because you stop kicking. Yeah, the deep water does not drown you. You drown, you stop kicking. And we're going to keep kicking. You fight back. Fight back, we win. Now, I was on this thing, CNN did the thing the other night about dancing in the streets. Really, during the emancipation, about 10 years, that was not legislation, that was for Mr. Lincoln, that was they killed him for taking on that system. Put Johnson as VP, and what he did was, it turns back over the same court that said blacks had no rights, whites bound to respect. He didn't move a single judge, he moved a single congressman or a single senator. War was over, all the structure was in place. They kept it going for another, we were enslaved for 3 and 4, 6 years. It's important to know this, say enslaved, 3 and 4, 6 years. Brother Muhammad, what that means to me is that we've been free about 50 years, made significant progress. We're changing America. If we don't give up, we don't fight, and we fight back. Now, I won't talk about this more next week, but we got to deal with how to properly celebrate Juneteenth. The boys in Texas we got free in 1863, during the first, and Texas got in 1865. That does not deal with the fact that we just was a different dynamic. My friends, let me tell you this here. We have a need today to fight back. A convention coming up in July, almost attending the convention is a big deal. It's sad we're going to have a deal here. 400 delegates who went to our convention with us, 88 will be there with us. That afternoon, we're going to have a tribute to Ramsey Lewis, Administrative Church in Chicago's public schools. we're going to have a film that night. Save the Children, we have a Roberta Flack and Sammy Davidson group in 1974 at the Expo. And Sunday night we're having a thing. We invited the president to speak. He may or may not be present. And then we're having a great gospel celebration. Monday, the folks will be on education. We open up these schools. We take schools on in Chicago. They don't only speak in these schools, but I'm going to cut it as it ought to be. We're going to fight, say about children. And children must change their minds. I saw a woman the other night tell a 14-year-old boy that he gets his gun out and shoot a man. She should be put out of jail for a long time. You all saw on television, right? So the boy was going to shoot a man, and he did it. Now parents must not be let off the hook. The parents must be parents. You can't show them at 15. You have the law given to you at 5. Yeah, so discipline matters. Discipline matters. I mean, parents must assume a responsibility for their children against their odds. You got men like Gerald and men like Abdul in the schools right now, but they need cooperation of parents. Parents, you must, in fact, make your commitment too. We turn on the other schools into something beautiful. If parents join hands with teachers, fight back. I really want to do that now. On Tuesday, we have ministers having a luncheon. Among other things, Brother Frederick Douglas Haynes will do that luncheon. When's the women's luncheon? We convene our international family here. On Monday, there'll be people here from Colombia and Guatemala and that, because we must fight for Latin American policy. To fight for Latin American policy. People are being run out because what we're doing, we are kind of trade with Canada, boycott trade with Latin America. People they're being seduced over here. If we invested in Guatemala and in Venezuela and Cuba like we do in Canada, people won't stay home. In fact, people walk from here to Denver, Colorado. So they're walking. They have serious problems. Don't get caught up in the migrant situation. Ex-slaves have a tradition too, and they are tricking them into a cheap labor market. That's a trick, not their fault. And we have been too lapped in that system down there. We're also going to have ladies here from Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Southern Africa, on International Day. And James, where's James Gomez? James International Affairs Director. What's up, James? All right, James, come and tell us a bit about Monday. We can have James Gomez.
This is James Gomez, our Executive Director of International Affairs.
Good morning. On Monday, we're going to have a wonderful international session. 2015 to 2025 was the year of African descent dedicated by the United Nations. And we have a keynote speaker, the former president of Costa Rica, who will be headlining that session. We also have the first Afro-Colombian ambassador to the United States, who is also going to be on that session, and our own Congressman Jonathan Jackson is also going to be speaking. We have speakers from Senegal, and also the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal is also speaking on that session. And the second session we'll be looking into the relationship between the United States and Africa. And we have Congresswoman Leanne Omar from Minnesota, who's going to be the keynote speaker for that session. We also have a former minister from Ghana and also speakers from Latin America. So it's going to be a very excited opening Monday. And I hope that all of you will be able to join us to address some of these issues that are vital to the interests of the United States and also Africa and the diaspora. As Reverend Jackson always tells us, we always have to fight for issues that are concerned to not only ourselves, but also to our global village. And he always reminds us that our foreign policy should not be foreign to our values. And these are the issues that we'll be discussing on Monday. And we hope to see you during the convention. Thank you.
Reverend Jackson, this convention is going to be unlike any other. We've had some amazing things that happened this year that we'll be featuring and highlighting. One of them is Reverend Jackson has won a major production award here in the city of Chicago. And Reverend Jackson, they're here to present you that award as a precursor to our convention. I want you to receive one of our beloved supporters, Miss Kathy Rivera. She comes.
Reverend Jackson has won two of the most prestigious television awards that we have in our broadcast industry. In October, he was awarded the National Academy of Arts and Sciences, an Emmy, for his contributions to television and television content throughout his entire career. It was the Governor's Award, and it's the most prestigious award that can be given to anyone in the National Academy of Arts and Sciences. Yeah, so he won that in October. So we produced a documentary on Push Excel, and that aired in October. And there were about 44,000 entries internationally that were submitted. And Reverend Jackson has won in the 44th Annual Telly Awards, one of the most prestigious awards, and alongside of the Emmy is the most prestigious. This year, he's being honored for his innovation, inclusiveness, and disruptive works that brings through the static of overwhelming content delivery and consumption in a time when the ubiquity of screens brings more clutter than quality into our lives. And we are truly honored to give this to you this year as a standard bearer of video and television excellence. So he remains one of the few who has reached this level of honor in both the television broadcast industry.
Come on, give it up for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Oh, come on, Chicago, this is historic. Now listen, before we close, it's so important that you contribute and invest in this. Isn't this historic today? Give it up one more time for Reverend Jesse Jackson. Your contribution, your registration to this convention, your investing in this movement. I would that you would do what many of us do on a weekly basis. That gives, we give, we invest, we contribute. Staff members are passing out envelopes. I need you today to make a contribution. I want to thank Dr. Iwa for an amazing panel with our African diaspora on last night. Put your hands together for Dr. Iwa. Deborah Lane, one of the most prominent, powerful labor leaders in this city and across this state. Give it up for Sister Deborah Lane by PK in partnership. Your contribution right now, you can give $100, you can give $50, you can give $35. Your contribution today, if you would be willing to give $100, raise your hand. If you'd be willing to give $100, raise your hand. I know that this worked. Thank you, beloved. Thank you, thank you. I want you to take one of these envelopes. Those of you who are watching online, go to the QR code or text the word PUSH to 41444 as we fight for schools, fight for hospitals, fight for jobs, fight for the unemployed, fight for the uninsured. This fight is not a free fight. Say, this fight is not a free fight. Say it one more time. Say, this fight is not a free fight. And so freedom is not free, and you gotta invest in it. I'm so glad that we have Dr. John Armand, the Consul General from Haiti. Stand up, Dr. Armand. Come on now, Chicago, this thing is real. This is real. I'm so glad to have him as our guest on today. Thank you so much, Dr. Armand. We're gonna have you speak momentarily. But I want you right now, Africa, I appreciate you. Give it up for Africa Porter. Give it up for Africa Porter, one and only. I need you, July 15th through the 19th. This convention will not happen without you, and your contribution today is a part of the daily work. The daily work. Can't go down to CPS and fight for these principles on some nickels and dimes. There's a legal dynamic to this. There's a public dynamic to this. When Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor talks about organizing, there's a cost to organizing. Building infrastructure, developing relationships, executing an initiative, it's a phenomenal work. And so I need you to make that contribution right now. We got to break this in our people of not investing in our own liberation, investing in our own freedom, investing in our own emancipation. Talk back to me. If you're glad to be black and free, make some noise up in here. Tell somebody this is a free meeting, but we got to pay for it. And so I need your contribution today. Put something in that envelope today. Let's celebrate this amazing award for Reverend Jesse Jackson one more time. You have that envelope ready? I want you to raise that envelope. Brother Jason, there's an envelope here. You have that envelope ready? Raise your hand. I want to thank Brother James Gomez, our Executive Director from Washington, D.C., over International Affairs. We would not have met, let me just do this house clean right quick. We would not have met these brothers had it not been for the insistence and the persistence of a woman that just will not take no for an answer. Sister Mother Sakia Muhammad. Y'all give it up for her. Sister Muhammad, we talking about you. These brothers wouldn't be here today if it weren't for her. She called me. She tracked me down. She interrupted my meetings and said, Bishop, we got to fight for these brothers. Give it up for Sister Muhammad, a real freedom fighter. She tracked me down. She called me. She almost called me out of my name one day. Scared me. She scared me. She bullied me, Jeanette. I was scared. Almost pushed me up against the wall. You better bring them brothers down. Fight for these black men. But that's what it takes, y'all. And you can't start a fire with water. You got to start a fire with fire. Somebody said, keep the fire burning. I want her to come as we get ready to close. I'm so excited about our convention, our opportunity to do this work. You put something in that envelope, raise that envelope. Raise that envelope. You got this sister here has an envelope here, Jason. Raise that envelope. Raise it. This is a proud envelope. Raise it with some pride. You made an investment in freedom. You made an investment. Act like you're at Wall Street. You made an investment in freedom. This is going to come back. When we come back and report that we saved these brothers' jobs, y'all going to have something to celebrate. We come back and report that Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, we're going to city council. We're going to fight for these things that she put out there. You're going to know that this investment paid off. Somebody say, this investment paid off. I want to close us out. Reverend Jeanette Wilson, our National Executive Director of Push Excel. Put your hands together and receive her.
Just so you know, the convention is going to cover all of these issues. But in order for you to participate, we need you to register for the convention. I want you to pay $35. That's a membership in Push. Some of you say, I used to be at Push 20, 30 years ago. Update your membership. And matter of fact, you can do back pay. Say amen. You know, every time Reverend sees people, Reverend, I used to be an active member. Activate your membership now so that all you have to do is show your membership a card, and then you get into all of the sessions except meal functions. Say except meal functions. Now, we open in the convention with a kind of a reunion spirit as we do this journey from freedom to equality. Reverend Jackson says the theme is a perilous journey. It has not been easy. We've had lynchings, we've had Jim Crow, we've had a lot of segregation, we've had a lot of things to block our path from freedom to equality. It's been in the educational sector. You've heard from 4 men who were in the system teaching our children. Well, guess what? There's been a move to eliminate African American men from the public school system. So if you care about that, you need to be at the convention because this policy is not limited to Chicago. The reunion starts Friday night. It's all of the people that helped Reverend Jackson run in 84 and 88. 84 and 88, that campaign. The delegates, those people that sold buttons, those people that helped shape the policy, those people that went on the Southern Crusade in 83. The 11 Southern states that Bishop Grant talked about is the South that tried to secede from the nation. They have been focused on separate and unequal. They have been focused on a divided nation. Trump didn't introduce that concept. It has been in this country forever. Even when we were emancipated, those slave states did not want to deal with emancipation. They tried to secede from the Union. So when you look at 84 and 88, all of the gains that we've made, it's not enough, but it's more than we had. You want to be here Friday night to meet delegates, to meet those who were the campaigners in 84 and 88. Barack Hussein Obama would never have been elected president had Jesse Jackson not run in 84 and 88. He changed the rules so that he could win, the Democratic Party rules. He energized the South. Nobody had been elected to the legislative body in Mississippi until Reverend Jackson ran in 84. They hadn't been elected since Reconstruction, if you can imagine that. So that's Friday. Now, Saturday, we want to have a reunion of everybody. If you ever got a job, teachers, many of you don't know, there were black teachers that could not get certified until Reverend Jackson worked to get them grandfathered in where they wouldn't have to take another almost like literacy test to teach in public schools. So if you're a teacher today, if you're a principal today, you need to come to the reunion because we opened some doors for you. Jackie Vaughn and the teachers union were very strong back in the day fighting for access for black teachers in our public schools. If you are an elected official today, I remember the Silent Six in the aldermen. Silent Six aldermen. We didn't have any other aldermen that were elected to office. So when I look at the numbers we have today, and it's not what we should have, it's more than we did have. And I think that it's just wonderful that Alderman Taylor is not one of the silent anything. So if you are elected to the county, we didn't have a lot of county commissioners. We didn't have a lot of state reps, state senators. If you are in any of these elected bodies, if you're in the United States House of Representatives, you need to come by Saturday and say thank you and be a part of this reunion, saying, Reverend Jackson, we thank you for the work that you have done, and let us tell the work that we're going to do now that we're here. We're going to take it to the next level. So if you're in business, I remember when we shut down stores in the community. We shut down A&P. It's not the first time we had food fights. We had National Tea would sell us food that they got from the suburbs 3 weeks later. It was already spoiled. We shut down A&P. We have closed more stores than are open in our communities because we said, we're not going to let you decide on our appetites. We made sure that we could be able to work in the stores in our community. Moore, Bush, and Martin built stores. First time ever, black people were building food stores and banks in our community. So the cycle continues. We had 6 black banks. We have 0 now in Chicago. We had auto dealerships. We have 0 in Chicago. So why do you want to come Saturday? So you can hear the history and you can see where we got to go to reclaim our power, our positions. We ought to be growing, and so that's what we're going to do. So if you have any business, popcorn business, if you're making cake, and if you like Brown Sugar Bakery, we want to highlight those black companies so we know to go shop there. We don't even know who's making what now. So you come in Saturday as a reunion. You don't have to pay to get in, but you do know you will not get out. So we want 1,000 people strong, registered by then, so that we can show Reverend Jackson our gratitude for the work that he continues to do. Not done. Teachers, all you teachers, if you're working or not working, retired or not retired, you need to be here Saturday. All black college alumni, we have done so much to promote HBCUs. We have a college tour for 27 consecutive years. We've taken 2 to 4 buses of young people to our HBCUs. We want black college alumni wear your colors. We want the black Greeks to wear your colors. We want the black social organizations to wear your whatever y'all wear. We want the churches come to Push Saturday, 930 50th Street. Then Monday, we open up with international. Many of us have never imagined the international impact that Push has had. Free South Africa. When we look at all of the different things we've done in the countries, Haiti, for example, and you're going to hear more about Haiti. We must fight for Haiti like the Ukrainians are fighting for Ukraine. Haiti deserves our support. And so on International Day, you're going to hear what we're going to do for Haiti. What are we going to do for countries in Africa where our children are dying from lack of resources? So we're going to talk about all of that morning, and then at noon, it's rebuild these urban cities where we live, where our schools are crumbling. We're going to talk about that with some mayors, and they'll say their challenges, and then we're going to talk about what our action is going to be to make them do what God requires them to do as leaders. And then that night, we focus on education. That afternoon, we're going to talk about, one, why did they close the schools? They are taking the land. You know the buildings along State Street, that's prime real estate. So when you have those elementary schools along the State Street corridor, they're in the way of development. And so we got to talk about what does development mean for us, as Alderman Taylor said. So that's going to be that luncheon, but that afternoon we're going to talk about these schools. Not only are they closing schools, they're not teaching our history. And you don't get to decide what our children are going to learn. That's why we had those one-room schoolhouses. We're not going to tolerate that. Parents, you can't sit back. You don't have to know how to do everything, but you got to stand up for your child. Children going to graduate from 8th grade and cannot read at grade level. That's a problem with that. They can't take the test to get to college. Even though the test is biased, they can't take an unbiased test because they're not being prepared. There are no expectations of them. We let the trades move all out and then wonder why they don't have a job. We're going to fight for our children. So you got to come to the education because the fight is on. And then that night we do want to celebrate. Some children will be getting scholarships. We will see our oratorical students. They're going to be shining every day. We know that young people can speak correct English. They don't have to speak in code all the time. And we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. What's good about it, what is challenging about it, what is it doing to the creativity of our children. Oh, I forgot, on Saturday we're going to open up outside and show what a virtual NASCAR looks like. We're going to have robotic cars that are being managed and built by our children. We're going to show that we have young black engineers at 5 years old, 6 years old, all the way to age 18. We will engage your child, bring them to Push Excel. Okay, I got to hurry on. Tuesday, some of you in business, we have pushed your products for years. We need you to come to the convention and be a part of the business breakfast. All tickets for meal functions are $150. We're not giving you a ticket. Get somebody to sponsor you. It is an opportunity for you to invest in the organization. Business breakfast, if you know anybody that's doing business, cleaning service, construction services, invite them to join you at the business breakfast. That at noon, it's the faith leaders. We mean all faith leaders, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Catholics, and others that don't have a particular denomination or a particular faith. It's the Faith Leaders Luncheon. We're going to talk about the power of the faith community and some policies that they should enact. That night is labor. Deborah Lane and Jackie Alger and others are organizing a major labor dinner at a labor hall. And we want to make sure you're there. And then we're going to close out with the International Women's Luncheon. We have invited the vice president, the first female vice president of Columbia, not Columbia College, but the vice president of the country, Columbia. And we hope that she will be present. We have some other surprises for you, right? Huh? Black woman. So we want you to join us for all of these events and to get inspired and get informed so that you can take action when you leave the convention. We're going to go somewhere. Some of the children will be going on a college tour. Some of us will be going to organize across the South and the Midwest. We have some challenges this year, and it's up to you to help us make it. And we want you to listen to this song, and you can sing along with the praise team. I know what they're going to sing, Bishop. Trouble don't last always. So y'all get ready, get inspired, get involved, and register today. If you didn't give any money, give $35.
I'm got officials here today from Haiti. The first free black people on earth was Haiti. Y'all believe this now? When the U.S. fought for America's independence, we were enslaved 157 years. Haiti, 1,000 troops joined America, fought the Battle of Savannah, and won the battle for America. Louis went back to Haiti, free Haiti from slavery. The only free people on earth, Haiti. African American, we were in slavery. Africa colonized. Only free people on earth, black was. And when he won that battle,
so,
they put an embargo on Haiti. 30 years. So we must, Haitian policy must, the things that come across the border, Haitian back on the airplane.
So next week you're going to hear Reverend and the Consul General from Haiti give us a real understanding of what is going on in Haiti and what we must do to help. We owe Haiti, is what Reverend Jackson is saying, a debt. Our freedom is because of Haiti, because they fought for our freedom. And so now we owe Haiti. America owes Haiti. If they think they owe Ukraine, they owe Haiti so much more. So next Saturday, Reverend, on Haiti, right? Haiti and Juneteenth. We're going to talk about Juneteenth, what it really means, and Haiti. So we'll have information. So I'm going to get inspired. Repeat after me. I'm going to get inspired. I'm going to get informed. Because trouble don't last always.
Always. Come on, if you believe it, can I get you just to clap your hands with us as we leave today? Let's leave with the message, the encouraging message that this thing won't last. We shall overcome. We will see all of our hard work come together. Come on. Everybody clap your hands. Everybody, come on. Song says, I have a message right here.
I have a message just for you.
It's in His Word.
It's in His Word. I know it's true.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you're going through.
I know the Lord will see you.
I know the Lord will see you.
Now help us out. Tell somebody, trouble don't last.
Trouble don't last.
That's it. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Trouble don't last always.
Trouble don't last always.
That's it. Come on, tell somebody, trouble don't last.
Trouble don't last.
Trouble don't last always.
Trouble don't last
Tell
always.
somebody, we think they endure for a night. Say,
We think they endure for a night.
trouble don't last always.
Trouble don't last always.
That's it, come on. Say don't last. Say trouble don't last.
Trouble don't last always.
Give it up for the sounds of freedom. I want to thank you so very much. May the grace of God and the sweet communion of our Holy Spirit guide you and keep you. Have a phenomenal weekend, and thank you for helping us keep